Hello, everybody. It is Thursday, March 5th, and welcome to episode 97 of Buds and Blue Jays, your place for all things related to the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm your host, Jesse Burrell, and I am not coming at you from the normal factory where I do all the work here. I am in a hotel room because I am heading to Pittsburgh tomorrow to follow the Blue Jays, to go see them play at PNC Park. Very excited for that. But Riley, you are back in your main spot, and you are here with us as well. A lot to cover on the show today for the Toronto Blue Jays. We got swept by the Boston Red Sox in 4 games after dominating the Red Sox all last year. This is not what we wanted to happen for our Toronto Blue Jays. We will dive deep into all that in this episode. Plus, we have some injury updates, some prospect notes as well. But Riley, first, how are you feeling, man, after that series against the Boston Red Sox?
Oh, buddy, that is a tough pill to swallow. You said it, man. We absolutely owned the Red Sox last year, and even in Fenway. So to go into Fenway with really high hopes at a time we really didn't need to get swept. You never want to get swept in a 4-game series, obviously, but it's tough, man. With the games coming up and everything like that, you want to sit pretty in the division, and the Red Sox were not the team to lose 4 straight to. I'm sorry that maybe in August we're not going to be fighting with them, but we might look back and think those are pretty important games. I mean, we both called it. We wanted at least a split, and we got nada. We got zilch. We got nothing. So obviously you don't feel good about it, Jesse. Not much more we can say other than let's kind of tear this thing down and see what the hell went wrong.
Yeah, we'll get into more of the details and stuff, including what was some horrid pitching performances from the Toronto Blue Jays as well. But first, like, Riley, do you remember 2 episodes ago when we were sitting here and we were talking and thinking, hey, I feel really good about this Toronto Blue Jays team. We seem to be pitching well. The bullpen was doing good. We were fielding quite well, too. We were having clutch hits. Everything seemed great. We noted at the time that baseball is a game of turns, twists, ups and downs, that it wasn't going to stay that way forever. But boy, did it really feel like it came crashing down hard on us in this series.
Yeah, crashing down hard, man. Like that's it starts with pitching, and we didn't really get a good performance out of any of our starting pitchers. And our offense did our offensive things today. We didn't really accumulate the hits. Boston's offense brought it. I thought their pitching had nothing for us. We dropped the ball with runners in scoring positions at times. We might have bailed ourselves out pitching wise when they had runners in scoring position, but still, you look back at it. And when you drop 4 games, I mean, yes, like there's an element of luck in baseball, and you're not going to win. You're not going to sweep every 4-game series, but to be swept, there is definitely some luck involved, but there's also poor play. And I think that's the majority of what happened here, Jesse, is our pitching just didn't have it for these Red Sox hitters.
Yeah, we'll get into that a little bit more here. But first, I want to say, especially coming off that last series against Seattle, that last game where we blew it dramatically late, like those bad losses can really set the team into a funk. And that seems to be what happened here. But let's get into the game recaps. For those of you who might not have been able to watch every game, we'll run through what happened here. First game of the series, the Blue Jays lost this game 6-5. They got down 2-0 in the first inning, but then Bo Bichette hit a 3-run home run in the top of the second. Jays took a 3-2 lead into the 6th, where they gave up 3 of their own, but were able to take the lead, or to tie the game in the top of the 8th, until Jordan Romano gave up a home run to Alex Verdugo to give the Red Sox the walk-off win and win game 1. In game 2 of that series, the Blue Jays also lost this one by 1 run. It was 7-6. Yusei Kikuchi kind of struggled, gave up individual runs in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th inning. Then the Jays exploded for 6 in the top of the 5th, thanks in part to a Dalton Varsho 3-run home run, but the bullpen couldn't hold on again. We gave up a solo run in the 8th and could not muster anymore, as the Blue Jays lost that game 7-6. Game 3, the Jays lose this game 8-3. This was a nasty game in Boston. A lot of rain, a lot of cold and stuff in there. Alek Manoah was cruising in this start until he got hit with a pitch, or he got hit from a line drive that hit back to him and just kind of fell apart after them. The Blue Jays didn't do much favors behind him either, committing 4 errors. The Jays lost this game 8-3 as the Red Sox blew it open in the middle innings. And the game that just happened this afternoon, the Blue Jays, I think it's still in progress here, but the Blue Jays are currently losing 11-5. So we figured it's probably safe to talk about it here. Kevin Gausman was not at his best. He gave up 10 hits and 1 walk, only 4 strikeouts, and he didn't make it out of the 4th inning for Kevin Gausman, his worst start of the season. And Vladimir Guerrero Jr., though, a positive, hit a home run in this game, and that's really all that the Blue Jays can muster on offense. So as things stand after this series, after getting swept, Riley, the Blue Jays are currently 18-13. That will go to 18-14. We'll be 8 games back of the Rays. We're still sitting 3rd place in the division, but we'll be tied. Actually, we'll be 4th place in the division because the Red Sox are going to move up half a game here on the Toronto Blue Jays. So Riley, let's get right into it, I guess, then. I guess the pitching performance was the main down thing, and you can talk about them individually, or you can talk about them as a group. Go on ahead.
Well, let's talk about them as a group to start. And the
Mhm.
thing was, we didn't, I mean, it's unfortunate what happened to Manoah, but we didn't get a lot of innings out of our starting pitching. And our bullpen really was not a supporting cast for this Toronto Blue Jays team on this series in Boston. I mean, our bull, as bad as our starting pitchers were, we were not complemented by a good bullpen. And you didn't mention it today. Zach Pop, I caught Zach Pop. He was limping off the mound with something.
Ooh,
So
yikes.
we'll check that. We'll check that, and I'll probably let you know next episode what goes on there. But our relief pitchers were meh. Our starting pitchers were meh, and you combine 9 innings of not really good quality pitching, and you're not going to get much. Barrios got hit hard. Kikuchi struggled a little bit. I actually thought Kikuchi didn't do that bad. I still think he's got nasty stuff. I still thought the Red Sox brought it. And Manoah obviously taken out, and he didn't have his best stuff either. I feel like he bailed himself out with he let a lot of runners on. He was
Mhm.
really lacking control in his appearance. And then Gosman today. Hey, look, it's not going to happen often. We were just praising Gosman to the high heavens about his last start, and he put up some crooked numbers in that one. And now he went from having his best start of the season to now his worst start of the season. So I mean, level with me, Jesse. I mean, you talk about picking a bad time to have kind of a blow up. Our starters kind of decided that, hey, let's take a day off from pitching, not go 7 innings, any of us. And then tell the bullpen, hey, let's flounder a little bit. And then the Red Sox walk all over us, because those weren't games where they won by 1 run and the score was 4-3. I mean, they
Mhm.
put up double digits today. They put up 8 runs the other day. Like, the Red Sox put up runs, and our pitchers just simply did not have it. That is starting pitching. That is bullpen. I know it starts with our starting pitchers, and none of them had it. And we were not complimented at all by a good bullpen anywhere.
And that is coming off the series in Seattle, too, where we had 2 extra innings games in there. So our bullpen had to work quite heavy, especially our high leverage guys. Eric Swanson and Jordan Romano threw a lot. And Riley, I want to go over the individual pitching lines for all 4 starters in this series. Jose Barrios, 5 1/3 innings pitch, 11 hits allowed, 5 earned runs, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. Gave him a game score of 23, his worst start of the year. Yusei Kikuchi, 4 1/3 innings pitch, 9 hits, 5 earned runs, no walk, 2 strikeouts. Also a game score of 23, his second worst start of the year. Alek Manoah, and I want to dive in a little bit deeper onto Alek Manoah's start here, but his official line, 5 innings pitched, 8 hits, 5 runs. Now, only 2 of those were earned because the Blue Jays did play some poor defense behind them, 1 walk and 3 strikeouts. But there were some interesting things to come from Alek Manoah in this start. He threw 103 pitches. He only got 3 swinging strikes, Riley. And that's like, Alek Manoah was never the biggest strikeout guy anyway, but only 3 swinging strikes on 103 pitches. That seems concerning. Now, it was cold in Boston, right? We saw lots of times Alek Manoah had to blow on his hands, and he couldn't really get hot, which might have something to do with it, and could explain also why he only used his slider 14% of the time in this start, which is the second lowest he's used the slider in his career. But I guess Alek Manoah hasn't been that great this year either. On a scale of 1 to 10, Riley, give me a concern level for how concerned you are about Alek Manoah.
I mean, at this point, honestly, it's probably like a 5 or a 6 now,
Yeah.
Jesse. I mean, to start the season, I mean, we really did look at the numbers that were kind of weighing in against Manoah, and I know it was kind of conspiracy theory for me. I really didn't pay them too much peace of mind, honestly. You watch what Manoah did in his first 2 big league seasons, and then this happens. I mean, yeah, okay. So now we'll talk about, I actually have concern for what's going to happen when Alek Manoah toes the rubber and the swings and misses, man. It was something that he did. I mean, he pitched in the All-Star game last year and made some
It
of
was
the best
awesome.
hitters in
Yeah.
the game look stupid. He was amazing. He was, I mean, like, hey, third place in the American League for Cy Young voting, that immediately grants you a you're a top 3 pitcher in the American League. We are not getting that same Alek Manoah this year, and it shows, man. It shows. I mean, there is no way he should be throwing that. If he's throwing 100 pitches, that should be Alek Manoah in like the 7th or 8th inning of a
Mm-hmm.
ball
Mm-hmm.
game where he's cruising, But that's not the telltale, man. And I felt like, it was an emotional game, the whole Verdugo thing. I don't know. There was
Yep.
definitely some animosity going on. He says he likes to pitch with hype, and I like that. Hey, you know what? If you're going to be out there and be beast mode or whatever you want to call it, and pitch with swagger and pitch with emotion, that's great. But you got to back it up, and he really didn't in this game. And I mean, if you're asking me, I would think he probably pitched too long anyways. In the ball game, I was screaming that they needed to get him out way earlier. I said that 2 times in this series, once with Barrios and the other time with Manoah. And I thought things would figure it out with Gosman, but whatever. But with Manoah, yeah, I'm about a 5 or a 6 on my concern level, because now you're actually starting to see those predictions become a reality, and we're getting less frequent quality starts out of Alek Manoah, who was our opening day starter, a first round pick. I mean, someone that is going to be potentially a franchise pitcher for us. So for him to falter right now is definitely not what the Blue Jays need, and definitely not what we predicted as media guys or Blue Jays fans, whatever you want to call us, Jesse. But we need more from Alek Manoah, especially for, if we're going to have a dogfight for this crazy good American League East, we need Alek Manoah to be the Alek Manoah last year when he finished third in Cy Young voting.
So I agree with you with John Schneider maybe leaving these pitchers in too long, but I think he had to because the bullpen had been taxed so much early in this series prior and then in these games here. Alek Manoah, looking at his season line, his walks are up, his home runs are up, his hard contact is up. It all leads to a 4.71 ERA on the season with an expected ERA of 6.92. That is disgusting and not in a good way for Alek Manoah. And just really quick, give me a thought on this. This is 3 seasons in a row now where the Toronto Blue Jays have had somebody in their rotation grossly underperform. This year, it's been Alek Manoah. Last year, it was Jose Barrios, who looked like one of the best pitchers in baseball the season before, just to have that season he had last year. And the year before, it was Hyun-Jin Ryu, where his stuff just kind of fell off apart. So do you have a concern about that? Or is that just, hey, it's baseball, sometimes that's going to happen?
Every year in baseball, there are some guys who come out of their shell. Maybe a 15th round pick from 2018 will come through and make his big league presence known. And maybe a veteran falls right off the charts. And then you got a guy like Drew Maggi out of Pittsburgh who makes his way at age 33 with a big league appearance. Baseball's weird, man. It's such a widespread sport, and there's so many players in each organization that someone is bound to meet expectations and someone's bound to fall well below expectations. Now, I don't predict Manoah to fall well below expectations, but I mean, I hate to say it, Jesse. Like, I had him for my Cy Young pick, even ahead of Gosman. I kind of want to revoke that right now. I just want quality starts out of this man, and I think anything around a 4 ERA to end this year would be awesome. I still think there is much hope in Alek Manoah's game.
I think so too.
Don't get me wrong.
He's going to be okay.
But I mean, it's got to improve. It's got to improve. He will be okay, but he's really, really got to string together some good quality starts here, especially in the upcoming series.
All right, let's take a look at the offensive side of the ball now. And speaking of things that need to improve, Riley, remember you and I spent all offseason talking about how the Blue Jays just got more and more left-handed balanced. We thought there was going to be some nice balance in the lineup with the additions of Brandon Belt, of Dalton Varsho, Kevin Kiermaier, and all these. And Riley, it's pretty safe to say about a month into the season here that it just has not worked. Here are the Blue Jays left-handed hitters as a whole. We're hitting 201, 275, 337, which stands for a 611 OPS, which is only better than the lowly Oakland A's, and it's only better by 0.01 of a point. Their 72 WRC plus for the Blue Jays left-handed hitters is the worst in baseball. So unless you really think Brandon Belt is going to get better, which he might, or Kevin Biggio is going to get better, which he might, but we'll see. I don't know what else you can do. I guess you could look at maybe Spencer Horwitz in the minor leagues, who has got an OPS over 1,300 in his last 5 games, a left-handed hitter, but other than that, you are hoping for vast improvements. And I think it's telling, too, that in game 1 and 2 of this series, when John Schneider was making the lineups against like Nick Pivetta and some right-handed pitching of the Boston Red Sox, Kevin Biggio and Brandon Belt weren't in the lineup. I think John Schneider has realized they're best with their 2 catcher tandems, one of them at DH, instead of putting these lefties in the lineup right now.
I mean, if you haven't noticed by now, Jesse, we are probably one of the least southpaw-friendly teams in all of baseball. I mean, look in the bullpen, look at our starting pitching, look at our bats. I mean, we're all right-handed. It's a right-handed savvy team. And yes, Jesse, hey, I agree, man. Like you can go down and look into our organization. And there's some very good left-handed bats that are up and coming. But you want to talk about making an impact in the game. It's funny. I don't know the trajectory on what Brandon Belt is going to do. And it's tough to say if this was 2016 in Rogers Center, what would Brandon Belt do as a Blue Jay? That's a hypothetical. And I don't even know how to answer that question because we're going back to old dimensions of the diamond anyways. Right. Let's pretend his on-base percentage is better just to start things off. You got a guy like Cavan Biggio, who is pretty well just a platoon guy right now. I think with me, I think righty or lefty on the hill, my comfort is with Whit Merrifield. He has had a very good start to the year. And I mean, he is kind of turning back the clock. He struggled a little bit last season with us, especially for the power numbers. I think he's definitely more of an on-base guy now. His base running is still, as far as our Blue Jays go, very much top of the charts. And the defense, again, defense for second base, if you play in the MLB, good for you. But second base, you don't need the most elite defender at. I mean, Whit's got to be the guy. I would have loved to see improvements by Biggio made 3 years ago, but he had his best season in his rookie campaign. And I don't know if he's going to even repeat that, man. I don't know. I think he's at the end of his leash as far as that goes. He's been given these opportunities and more or less floundered when he's stepped up to the plate, literally and figuratively. He has not met expectations of any sorts, Jesse. So I don't know. It was good. Hey, and for the last lefty bat, good for Varsho. He's batting where he should be in the middle of this order. And the power's coming. He finally strung together some hits. And I mean, it's Dalton Varsho. We went from having an outfield that was not very good last year defensively to having arguably a top 3 defensive outfield for this Jays team. And Varsho has not played 1 inning at catcher this year. I don't know if he will, but there's another option there. I mean, he's a very versatile guy, and it helps when he has the speed he does, the defensive tools he has. He's a 4-tool guy, clearly. You would just like to see him get on base a little bit more if he's hitting in the middle of this Toronto Blue Jays lineup.
Yeah, so I got a few things. First, on Dalton Varsho, in game 2 of the series, he had a string of 3 at-bats in a row where he hit baseballs 98 miles per hour or harder. One of them was a flyout, one of them was a double, and then he hit his home run at 106.6 miles per hour. I still want to see Dalton Varsho hit the fastball. That home run he hit was off a looping curveball from Nick Pivetta. Now, he crushed it, in all fairness, but pitchers have been trying to get Dalton Varsho out with the high fastball, and I'd really like to see him make the adjustment and be able to hit that just a little better. And going on to Cavan Biggio, Riley, backing up a little bit here, what was Cavan Biggio's biggest strength as a hitter, right? Wasn't it always his eye and his ability to work the count, right? And then be selective and get his pitch, right?
Yeah, plate discipline, the ability to, I mean, when he was with the Bisons, to draw walks, to not swing at pitches out of the zone. I mean, he pretty much umpired those AAA games. Yes. I mean, for the most part, like if he's taking a pitch borderline and it's not swinging, the umpire's probably going to trust a Cavan Biggio at that time because he had such an elite eye as a hitter. That pedigree, that accolade has kind of wore itself off, and not recently. That's been worn off for, I would say, 2.5, 3 years now.
Right. So Biggio has 50 plate appearances this year. He has drawn just 3 walks. His OBP is less than 200, Riley. But this is going to complicate matters a little bit because you said he's very patient. He's very good at looking at those pitchers out of the zone. And there's a stat I looked up here that out of 377 major league batters who have seen at least 100 pitches this year, Cavan Biggio actually has the highest rate of called strikes on pitches that are outside of the zone, which I can't explain that. I don't know why that is. Biggio's still taking the pitches he should be taking. Yes, they're just being called strikes against him. Couldn't tell you why. I have no idea. I just thought that was interesting.
I mean, that's kind of just like how, Matt Chapman will lead the league in flyouts to the warning track or whatever. I'm sure there's an underlying stat. Baseball's a game of numbers, and certainly for Biggio in a category where the numbers should be in his favor. I mean, they're obviously not in his favor. So you got to find a different approach. And that was Biggio's big tool. And he doesn't have naturally blessed power. Mm-hmm. He's not in any ways, shape or form an elite defender. And he's quick, but he's not going to be a superstar, on the base path. He's not a silver spike kind of guy. He's in the top 25 probably for being able to, with his outfield and infield range and everything like that. But I mean, if his main tool isn't there, what is Cavan Biggio? Exactly.
Riley, we have spent too much time talking about Kevin Biggio. We still have a lot to get to on here, and I'm going to just lump these three things together. First one, Vladimir Guerrero Jr.'s power is back. He hit a home run today. He also hit a 450-foot bomb over the monster, which disappeared into the night. It was very good to see on a changeup that was thrown in. It just sped up Vladdy's bat, and he crushed it. Bo Bichette had a 5-hit game in game 1 of this series. It was the second 5-hit game of the season, and surprising nobody, Bo Bichette is on pace to lead the American League in hits yet again. And the last one I wanted to bring up is George Springer here. And so far, George Springer has put 16 balls in play with an exit velocity of over 100 miles per hour plus with a positive launch angle. The expected batting average on those hits is 729. George Springer's batting average is 375 on those hits. So I don't know if he's just getting unlucky. He still seems to be hitting the ball hard. Here's a quote that John Schneider gave on George Springer, and he said, quote, "He's close. George is so streaky. I think it's just one of those games that it's going to get him all back. Those hits are going to drop. He's just a little pull happy on time." So those three players, Riley, George Springer, Bo Bichette, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., do you have a thought on any of those?
Well, I definitely want to start then because in game 1, that's when Bo had his 5-hit game, and he's been hitting the baseball extremely well. I think the thing most in the last 4 days during this series, kind of on social media, my YouTube discoveries, was looking into how well Bo Bichette is at actually hitting the ball to all fields, and to all fields with power, he has great exit velocity the other way, his ability to pull baseballs, and obviously the 460-foot shot at the Rogers Center, leaving the dent. Like, he's got power to all fields. And this isn't like another thing you can compare him to. A guy who led the American League in hits in 2001 is Ichiro. And I'm not calling Bo Bichette Ichiro by any means, Jesse.
That's
another guy who hit the ball to all fields. But the comp is, Ichiro really didn't. His batting stance doesn't allow him to hit the ball hard the other way. But Bo Bichette's stance and the way he takes his plate appearances, he is able to hit to all fields with power. So very impressive for Bo Bichette. I'm not surprised at all by his numbers. Vladdy, yes, we need his power, absolutely. And that's pretty much all I got on that, man. I mean, there's a small glimmer of sunlight in this series, Jesse, and it's out of guys that we really, needed to show up.
And I guess we'll move on to some bullpen notes here. Jordan Romano gave up the home run in game 1 of this series to give Alex Verdugo the walk-off win. His fastball velocity was down. Now, again, it was cold in Boston, right? It was only 94 miles per hour. So and he was used a lot in the Mariner series, like we mentioned. But his ERA now is 3.65, which seems high for your closer. And here's how Jordan Romano has compared in non-save situations in his career versus save situations. When it's a save situation, Jordan Romano's thrown 73 in a third innings pitch. He has a 0.49 ERA, a whip under 1, and has only given up 2 home runs. In a non-save situation for Jordan Romano, 4.31 ERA, 1.38 whip, 16 home runs allowed. Some closers just need the pressure, I suppose, of pitching in with the lead and trying to save the game. And that was interesting there. I also have a note on Nate Pearson here, Riley, and I guess we're going to combine the two together here. But Nate Pearson's job when Adam Simber went on the IL was to make sure that you aren't the one that's going to be sent down when Simber and Mitch White are ready to return. And I think he's cemented his spot in this bullpen. 3 1/3 innings pitched this series, 3 hits, no earned runs, no walks, 4 strikeouts, and he's getting swinging strikes on everything. His fastball had a little bit of rise to it, which I didn't really see from Nate Pearson in the past. So Jordan Romano, Nate Pearson, Riley, do you have a thought on any of those two?
Well, definitely. Hey, listen, I love Romano. He's been a great closer for us. And these blowups are going to happen. Obviously, just the timing was very, very poor. I think there was a question maybe 30 or 40 episodes ago, and I answered something along the lines of, I think Romano's best season was in 2022. Mm-hmm. And I think that's, probably going to be the case here. Now, is he going to have a ton more blown saves from here on out? Knock on wood, I sure as heck hope not. But these sort of things, that's baseball. That's what's going to happen. And hey, the depth chart is so wide open for a guy like Nate Pearson right now with a guy, Anthony Bass. I mean, we've talked about him enough, him and Trevor Richards. I mean, as good as their greatest tools are, they are aging guys, and they have not shown up. With Zach Pop, who knows what's going to be going on with him? So who knows what kind of version of Simber we're going to get once returning? And it's really tough to say. The door is wide open for Nate Pearson, and if he's going to put up good numbers and in an appearance, if he goes out in this Pittsburgh series and has a good appearance in you know, maybe it's an inning and a third, or it's a third of an inning, or like whatever his line is, if it's good, keep his usage and keep, you know, increasing his usage if he's going to be effective for us, because we need a good bullpen. It showed in this series against the Red Sox that our bullpen simply did not have anything for these Red Sox hitters. And if Nate Pearson's going to be the guy it's going to take on higher leverage situations, maybe increasing his usage, you know, every 2 weeks, you see, hey, he's towing the rubber a lot more come the seventh inning. You know, you might see that happen, Jesse, if Nate Pearson continues to be effective for us.
And I can't wait to see it. All aboard the Nate Pearson hype train. Let's go. We've got room. If you want to jump on the bandwagon, come on aboard with us here. I do have a few injury news and notes here. The first one is, as you mentioned there, Zach Pop. He was being helped off the field with his arm around the trainer after suffering a right leg injury. That sucks. Zach Pop was such a good weapon for us. It sounds like he's going to have an extended trip on the IL. Adam Simber threw a 23-pitch side session today at the Blue Jays Player Development Complex in Dunedin, Florida. Assuming he recovers well, the next step for Simber will be facing live hitters and then likely on a minor league rehab assignment. And Mitch White, he's already been on a minor league rehab assignment. He made his first start, Riley. 2 2/3 innings pitched, 3 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 walks, no strikeouts. He did give up a home run. His fastball only averaged 90.3 miles per hour, is down about 3.5 miles, only generated 4 whiffs on 24 swings on 56 total pitches. Quick thought on Mitch White's rehab appearance, I suppose. Doesn't seem great.
I mean, yeah, I mean, he's going to get past in the depth chart here. There's no question. I mean, it sucks. We had a lot of high hopes, but I mean, since he has become a Toronto Blue Jay, he has really not shown this organization that he can bring it. And that's at the MLB level, let alone, you know, giving up, you know, a real crapper at the AAA level pitching in Buffalo. I mean, that's important. If you're going to have a rehab start, I mean, you're not going to advance if you can't get over that hump. And for Mitch White, I have a feeling that, you know, he's probably going to remain in Buffalo until he can get stuff figured out.
Yeah, likely, honestly. And then I got some prospect notes here, Riley, and these ones aren't so great either. Blue Jays infield prospect Addison Barger, who we talked a lot about in spring training. He is on the minor league injured list with elbow inflammation, described as just a minor injury for the 23-year-old. And then we have Hagen Danner has been promoted to the Double-A New Hampshire. He was sitting as high as 97 in spring training before a forearm inflammation shut him down. He did strike out 5 batters in his 2 rehab innings with the Dunedin Blue Jays. He's one of the top Blue Jays bullpen prospects. He will be reporting back to New Hampshire. And then some of our big boys, Riley, Nate Pearson, Ricky Tiedemann. He actually left his start today for the Double-A New Hampshire Fisher Cats with left biceps discomfort. Apparently, after about 60 pitches, he looked at the trainer. He pointed to his left forearm, and forearm injuries for a young pitcher is never good. Stay tuned on this as we await more updates. And I guess there was some positive. Brandon Barriera, who is the Blue Jays' first-round pick in this last year's draft, he did some pretty impressive things in his first start in the Blue Jays organization. 4 innings pitched, no hits allowed, no runs. He did walk a batter and got 6 strikeouts on his 49 pitches. His slider was filthy, got 7 whiffs on 11 swings with 4 strikeouts. The future is very bright for Brandon Barriera, and this was a good start. So between the Tiedemann injury, Addison Barger injury, and Brandon Barriera's baseball debut, what caught your attention there, Riley?
Oh, definitely Tiedemann, man. So,
yeah,
I mean, you got a young pitcher like Ricky Tiedemann. You want to listen, I know you want to get him rising through the ranks at a quick rate and potentially be an effective piece for this Blue Jays. But hey, let's slow her down just a touch for right now, Jesse, and let's worry about, you know, a young 20-year-old dealing with you know, an injury. Let's say it's, even if it's a minor forearm injury, you know, take 2 starts off, you know, until you're 100%. I don't think that this Blue Jays future can really risk losing out to, you know, Ricky Tiedemann having a real setback. I mean, we've seen it happen before with a lot of minor league pitchers and injuries. Kloffenstein being really delayed. You know, he might not ever make it up to the big league club. So you want to be very careful if you're medical coaching staff, Ricky Tiedemann, whoever you are in this, and take it very seriously, even if it is minor. I mean, he's a very good piece, you know, for New Hampshire right now, obviously. But at the same time, I mean, that's our Double-A team. The goal is Major League Baseball, and he will eventually be there. But for right now, his biggest thing is some rest, some ice, some heat, whatever it takes to get around that injury and get him at 100% for sure. And as far as Barriera, hey, good for him, another young left-handed pitcher in this organization. You would love to see him, rise through the ranks. I don't know if he's going to be at the same level as Ricky Tiedemann as far as his dominance goes, but hey, who am I to say? Let's wait and see what happens. And if that's what he does in his first start, I mean, it's a small sample size, right? 4 innings, but hey, he's going to get a lot more of those, and we're here to talk about it, Jesse. That's why we do what we do, man. That's why we cover the minor league stuff. Barriera, an interesting one, our first round pick in 2022.
The good news is the Ricky Tiedemann biceps injury doesn't seem to be related to the shoulder injury that he suffered coming out of spring training. So that is a positive, I guess, but just stay tuned and we'll see a little bit more. Riley, with that being said, the Blue Jays continue their road trip. They are off to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I am also off to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So stay tuned for us. We're going to have lots of content coming out from the Blue Jays in this series. I'm very excited to go check out PNC Park. Probable pitchers are going to be Chris Bassett. I don't have him here against Rich Hill in game 1. Game 2 will be Johan Oviedo against Jose Barrios. And game 3 will be Yusei Kikuchi against Yoanzi Contreras. Riley, pick to click. Something you got? Series prediction? How are we going to do?
I mean, let's take a step back. Let's take a step back. We just suffered a series sweep against the Red Sox. We're going to interleague play, I guess is what I don't even know if you call it that because we play every team now, but we're playing an NL Central team with a surprising Pittsburgh Pirates club right now, a very young team, but a team that's been doing all right, especially for what their payroll is and the guys that they have rostered right now. I mean, hey, I would like to take 2 out of 3 for sure. Let's not get swept. If we're gonna look at this, let's look at our past 7 games. Let's pretend this Pittsburgh series is over. We want to be able to. I would love to say we are 3-4 in our last 7 games, which would mean we sweep them. If we take 2 games, we are there 2-5 in our last 7. That number doesn't sound as good. So this Pittsburgh series is really important to bounce back, especially because Boston took that half game jump on us. Hey man, I would love to sweep. I would like to take, I don't want to be greedy, but I want 2 games for sure, man. I want Bassett to be setting the tone early. And I would love, hey, Bo Bichette's on a monster pace right now. I expect another, I called it last series, by the way. I just want to throw that out that Bo Bichette was going to have a good series. And he tallied those hits. He got more than 8 hits. I said he'd have 8 hits. He got more than 8 hits, but I think Bo is going to continue that. And if Vladdy can put it on, and as far as our bottom of our rotation goes, Barrios and Kikuchi, just give us 5 innings. Just give us 5 innings of 3-run ball for this series, and let our offense do the rest. And then hopefully our bullpen can save the back half of those games, and we can walk out of there, with a 66 winning percentage, in PNC Park in Pittsburgh.
2 out of 3 sounds good to me, Riley. Sign me up. That'll do it for our episode here today. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Please make sure to like the video on your way out and subscribe to the channel. We just hit 250 subscribers, so that's a quarter of 1,000, Riley. Well, on our way, not bad for 2 county kids doing what we do here. You can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok as well. And tell your friends. Leave us a 5-star review on the podcast land if you are listening to us out of there. Riley, I have to get this uploaded and ready to go because our bus leaves for Pittsburgh very early in the morning. So stay tuned to all our socials. We'll be sharing lots of stuff on there. I'm going to try to get a picture with Matt Chapman, Riley. So let's see how this goes here. We'll see if we can do that done. Anything to add before we call it an episode, Riley?
Yes, when you have that picture with Matt Chapman, take it on your mother's phone. So and then on your phone, hold it next to me, yourself, and Matt Chapman, and have a selfie of me on that picture. So it looks like I'm in the picture as well with Matt Chapman. I would really love that. I would really love that. It's the closest thing. It's the closest thing. But Jesse, enjoy your trip. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, PNC Park, one of my more favorite National League ballparks. And of course, let's go Blue Jays. Let's bounce back from this series sweep.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Let's go Blue Jays. We'll see you guys on Monday night.
Thanks, guys.